From firing fears to DC jabs, U.S. Envoy unloads on Washington politics while speaking from Jerusalem. Huckabee backs Bibi amid feud, pokes fun at Trump's management style with a self-deprecating joke. Mike Huckabee says, "I had to check if Trump fired me overnight before taking the stage in Israel." Trump's envoy says he feels safer in a Middle East war zone than in Washington's political climate. Huckabee takes aim at Washington as Swiss peace talks reshape the regional debate. U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee joked that he checked Donald Trump's social media accounts before speaking to ensure he still had his job. Huckabee made the remarks while addressing the JNS International Policy Summit in Jerusalem on June 21st. "I checked Trump's social media to make sure this was not my last speech in Israel," Huckabee told the audience. He joked that Trump is known for making personnel decisions through late-night social media posts. A U.S. Embassy spokesperson later clarified to reporters that the ambassador's comments were intended as humor. Mike Huckabee said, and I quote, "So today, before I got here, I did something that I thought was very important. I checked President Trump's social media to make sure this was not my last speech in Israel. As you know, he typically fires people in the middle of the night by way of social media. So I wanted to make sure that there was a reason for me to come. I'm happy to report that so far, so good. I know there's been an enormous level of anxiety about the relationship between the United States and Israel." Unquote. The remarks came as Huckabee continued publicly backing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Lebanon-related issues. Netanyahu and the White House have recently clashed over diplomatic and security issues linked to Lebanon. Huckabee later shifted focus to security conditions in the United States and his experiences in Washington. He said he personally felt safer in Jerusalem than in the U.S. Capitol despite ongoing regional tensions. Describing Washington as a crazy town, Huckabee recounted multiple encounters with protesters in the city. A small group of demonstrators allegedly surrounded him before the gathering expanded to roughly 20 people. He also described a second confrontation that took place during a reception several days after the first incident. Huckabee said protesters recognized him at the event and again began shouting in his direction. Mike Huckabee said, and I quote, "Last year, I was back in Washington after the 12-day war with the Prime Minister and for the meetings we had with the President and the U.S. team. And while I was there, on 2 different occasions, I got surrounded by these pro-Hamas crazy people. One started out as 2 ladies. It ended up being about 20 people surrounding me, yelling and screaming. And it was really getting close to a little uncomfortable. A couple of nights later, I was leaving the Blair House, where there was a reception. And some same pro-Hamas crazy people across the street recognized me. I said, I can't wait to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem, where I feel safe. I really am anxious to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem, because I feel safe there, and I do." Unquote. Huckabee stressed that his comments about feeling safer in Jerusalem than Washington were not intended as a joke.
The United States and Israel have an unbreakable bond. And it really is still true today. There is no world leader that the president speaks to more than he does Prime Minister Netanyahu. Theirs is a relationship that is not just as 2 statesmen. It is deeply personal. Personal to the point that there is a candor between them that is probably unlike his relationship with anyone else. The president says things to people, and he says things to the world. But the one thing that I've always heard him say, always, and that I've always watched him do, is that America has an unbreakable bond with the state of Israel. And I trust that he means what he says.
Israeli bid to sabotage Swiss talks appears to have failed as negotiators report significant progress toward a broader U.S.-Iran understanding. Iran says Swiss talks laid the foundation for what Tehran describes as a potential final agreement with Washington. Tehran spokesperson said negotiations moved beyond procedural disputes and into discussions on long-term arrangements. Iran said Hormuz shipping mechanism was among the key understandings reached during the marathon negotiations. Tehran declares political talks over, with technical teams now tasked with finalizing the remaining details. Mediators Qatar and Pakistan hail meaningful progress after nearly 18 hours of intensive discussions. Qatar and Pakistan to issue a text summarizing the principal understandings reached during the negotiations. Araghchi said Iran secured oil and petrochemical export waivers as part of the understandings reached in Switzerland. Araghchi added that some frozen assets have already been released in what Tehran views as a major diplomatic. Araghchi says the U.S. blockade on Iran has been removed under the framework discussed at the talks. Tehran said major reconstruction efforts are now being planned as economic restrictions begin to ease. Araghchi called the new Lebanon deconfliction mechanism the first major test of the emerging agreement. Mechanism will monitor compliance with the Lebanon ceasefire and help prevent renewed escalation on the border.
The opening of the Strait of Hormuz, the ending of the Iranian nuclear program, all of these things have already been accomplished. The question before us now is how much more can we accomplish together? Can we turn over a new leaf? Can we change relations in the Middle East permanently? Or do we go back to doing things the old way, which is not our preference, but is certainly very much something that can happen. I think it's important for the American people, but people all over the world to appreciate that what's brought us to this moment is the President's leadership and the President's willingness to see a Middle East that is much different 10 years from now than it was 10 years ago. And what we're trying to accomplish here is something very simple. Through diplomacy, through working together to transform the Middle East, where Iran and the Gulf have been at war with each other, or at least have had very unfriendly relations, where Iran has been a driver of regional instability. Now we see a future where everybody can work together to promote peace and prosperity for everyone. What we have already seen back home in the United States is lower gas prices. We've seen the free flow of oil and gas. We've seen peace. And now we're trying to build on that to see if we can build something even better and more sustainable for the future. What the President has asked us to do is turn over a new leaf, to transform our relationship with the people of Iran and to extend an outstretched hand that says to the people of Iran that if your leadership is willing to give up being a driver of regional instability, if they are willing to give up nuclear weapons ambitions for the long term, then the United States is willing to fundamentally transform our relationship with that country. That is certainly our goal. We've already made great progress over just the last few hours, and I expect that we'll make additional progress in the hours to come. Well, first of all, we've seen great progress over the last just couple of days in ensuring that the ceasefire holds in Lebanon. These things are always a little bit messy. If you go back to how much was happening 3 months ago and compare it to 3 weeks ago, great progress has been made. If you go back to 3 weeks ago to 3 days ago, additional progress has been made. The President has committed us to see a full regional ceasefire. We found great partners in working with the Qataris, the Pakistanis, our friends in Israel. We're all working towards regional peace. There, of course, are going to be sometimes disagreements about precisely how to get there, but I actually feel great about where we are in Lebanon. There's still some additional wood to chop, but we're going to keep on working at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day. A day which is going to promote peace and prosperity, not only in the region where crisis really created humongous challenges, but this will have global peace. And I must, at this point in time, with the fullest sincerity at my domain, thank President Donald Trump for his visionary and very dynamic leadership, which has resulted in this meeting here today in beautiful city of Bergenstock. And I think here we are going to have wonderful discussions which will lead to hopefully very productive results in times to come.
Qatar will stay dedicated to this partnership to support these mediations until the end, until we reach a solution. We will always be a partner in bringing more peace, prosperity, and hopefully better future for our region. Thank you very much.
What today really represents is the beginning of a technical negotiation that's not going to solve every disagreement, but is going to allow us to sit together as teams for the first time really in history to figure out what matters most to the respective parties, to settle those issues, to solve those issues, and get to a better tomorrow. The reason why the political leadership of the respective countries is here is because we wanted to, first of all, set up the structure for these technical negotiations. And second of all, make sure that our teams have our full support and know they can always call on us to break through any barriers. We got a lot of work to do. We're excited to do it. Thank you all for being here.